Wheat has been grown for many years in human history. One of the first cultivated food crops was wheat, which has been the primary source of nutrition for the main civilization of Europe, West Asia, and North Africa for the past 8,000 years. Today, more land is used to grow wheat than any other commercial crop, and it continues to be the primary source of grain for human consumption. Wheat cultivation in large quantities has served as a visual representation of the influence of politics on the global food supply. After the Cold War and the conclusion of the fight, the United States produced and exported an abundance of wheat as a means of maintaining world trade and as a means of implementing its foreign policy and food aid system, according to Paul Beleski, a life science researcher at the University of Norway. Andrew Hecht, a trade supply analyst, describes wheat as the most important driver of the world politics after oil. In food-related issues, the political power chain places primacy on food self-sufficiency and sovereignty. It is feasible to put an end to the political fevers that developed in the countries as a result of bread issues, despite the fact that the issue of wheat is the primary political issue of a sovereign security and safety in the 21st century. Throughout Sudan's post-independence history, the political economy of the nation has been heavily dependent on wheat flour and bread. Rising bread price in 2019 sparked protests that led to Omar al-Bashir's administration being overthrown. In the past, surplus wheat exports have played a significant role in the United States' international trade, foreign policy, and food aid programs throughout both the Cold War and the post-Cold War era. Russia recently surpassed the traditional northern grain producers to become the largest exporter of wheat globally. It is clear that protecting food sovereignty is a matter of national security given the role and influence of the so-called world powers, China, the US, Russia, and the European Union on the supply and distribution of wheat output. The Foreign Agricultural Service of the United States Department of Agriculture has reported that 783.92 million metric tons of wheat will be produced globally in 2022 and 2023. In comparison to wheat production the year before, it has increased by more than 4 million metric tons. China is expected to produce 138 million metric tons of wheat in 2022, followed by the European Union with 132 million metric tons and India with 103 million metric tons. Russia is expected to manufacture 91 million tons of wheat, while the US will produce 48,523,000 metric tons of wheat, ranking 4th and 5th respectively. According to these statistics, Ethiopia, which has produced during summer irrigation in Africa for the past 2 years, is rated second in Africa and 18th overall. It is anticipated to produce 5,700,000 tons of wheat during the crop season of 2022 and 2023. This is 3.26% more than the previous year. This report served as a reminder of the significant assistance the Ethiopian government has been given to boost wheat output over the past 3 years. A modern mechanized farming system, irrigation development, extension support, and other inputs were highlighted. Ethiopia has historically been very concerned in expanding its influence in Africa and the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia currently works on wheat to maintain food self-sufficiency, and food sovereignty is an example. The construction of local and large-scale irrigation system, the financing of agricultural inputs, the promotion of cluster farming, and the reduction of post-harvest loss have been identified by the Ethiopian government as priorities that can boost grain production and productivity. 30,000 clusters made up of 1.3 million farmers have organized themselves over the past 3 years to produce wheat across the nation. Additionally, each cluster is designed to use enhanced seed and environmental-friendly fertilizer. The government also provides monitoring, support, and machine support to extension employees in order to reduce waste during harvest. The budget set aside by the government for the development of the agriculture industry has been updated and raised by more than 175%, including funding for irrigation expansion. According to data, Ethiopia used to generate roughly 17% of its own local wheat needs while importing the remaining 30%. However, it's now anticipated that Ethiopia will stop importing 50 to 20 million quintals of wheat annually, including wheat that has been received as aid. The work being done on wheat will help the nation avoid spending more than $600 million a year on a wheat purchase. In order to meet its wheat demand in 2023 with domestic production and avoid imports from overseas, the summer wheat production is being effectively accompanied. As a result, Ethiopia's name has begun to be mentioned in front of the world, placing second in Africa for wheat production, according to the projection of the United States Agricultural Bureau. The process of supplying wheat production to overseas markets is expected to begin in 2015, according to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's administration. When Kenyan President William Ruto visited Ethiopia and spoke with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, it was revealed that Kenya will be the country receiving the first shipment of wheat. According to reports, several nations in the region are showing interest in the wheat exports that begin in Kenya. Wheat cultivation in large quantities ensures national security, addresses the bread issue, upholds food sovereignty, and prevents external pressure in the name of aid. Ethiopia is working on this idea so that its resurrection is near and its development is confirmed.